That attitude with that breath is everything. It's everything. It's like that breath is, I'm going to pay attention because I'm about to teach you how to fish for your lifetime. That breath is whoosh, that hook. It's the fly. You ever gone fly fishing? Have you ever seen someone go fly fishing? You see the line leave the pole and whoosh, wrap around like that, you know? that's that's what the breath does. It's the same thing. You're breathing it out, and whatever it hooks onto is going to catch, and you're going to reel it in. And guess what? You got to use it. You got to do something with it, or you're going to end up giving it to somebody else. Healing looks different for everyone. But when you suffer a trauma, a blow of some kind, that changed the direction of how your life was going, how you felt about yourself and your place in this world, how you felt about the world and its place in your life, then you have taken a blow. You've gotten wounded. And there's a process to healing a wound. Hi, everyone. Well, it's Dr. Reverend Mariam, better known as Phoenix, from the Awakening of Phoenix Living with Disability Healing LLC. Dinner Time to Heal, Acapella Awakening, Living with Disability Healing on YouTube and on the web as phoenixhealingministries.org. Welcome to my page, Phoenix Costello. I know you guys might see this in the background here. I thought this kind of fit in with what we talked about part one of this video. But yeah, Flowers for Algernon. Flowers for Algernon. If you haven't read it yet, it used to be required reading. Does anybody remember that? How old are you? So, yeah, that's what I'm working on right now. I'm digesting it little bits at a time, and it's so delectable. So nourishing. But part two. Part one, what did we talk about in this video? Oh, yeah, emotions. Part one, we talked about what emotions are. And it really might surprise you, so you might want to check it out. It's a back-to-back video. Last time, I was supposed to do my hair. And I didn't do it, so I'm going to be doing that as well. This is for my hair. It's the Cherry Lola treatment. I'll get into it in a minute. But we talked about what I was doing, what I've been up to, and also what emotions are and healing and how it looks different for everyone, especially healing from trauma, bad life decisions, or from some type of medical diagnosis as a result of trauma or bad life decisions. Okay, or something that you've inherited, right? You can't control it. You can't control the emotions. You got to direct them. Why? Because emotions are, we're just going to go over this real quick because this was from yesterday. Energy. Let's see, where are we going here? Emotions. Right? Emotion. We isolate the E, take away the motion, and you just got energy. But once you take the energy and you set it into motion, you have an emotion. Okay, so what is an emotion? It's just energy. Where do they come from? Your limbic system, your heart, your central and autonomic and parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous systems, right? We just touched bases on it just a little bit. But I also said that I wanted to talk about Dysautonomia. You can call it dysautonomia, you can call it dysautonomia, either one. But it's an autonomic dysfunction, disorder, syndrome, and disorder. I'm not going to get into the differences between disease, syndrome, and disorder. I got into it a little bit in part one. Again, check it out on Phoenix Costello's page. And I'll be sharing it on Living with Disability, The Awakening of Phoenix, Living with Disability Healing, LLC, here on Facebook and on YouTube as Living with Disability Healing. So we also talked about the process of healing, because everybody's healing process is different. So healing looks different for everyone. But when you suffer a trauma, a blow of some kind, that changed the direction of how your life was going, how you felt about yourself and your place in this world, how you felt about the world and its place in your life, then you have taken a blow. You've gotten wounded. And there's a process to healing a wound. And the example I gave was when you were a child and you were riding that bike and took a fat L. You scraped your knee and it's bleeding all over the place. You have a wound. I explained to you the healing process of the wound. There are 5 stages. There are stages to healing a wound. And I used to be a wound nurse. It's really cool if you like really nasty, yucky stuff. Especially like you work in the nursing home, you get these things like decubitus ulcers. It's really nasty, but it's crazy because if you lay in one spot too long, this is interesting. I use this analogy when I talk about getting unstuck with some of my students. But you lay there too long, and our patients, if you don't turn them to every 2 hours, which is the law, but it doesn't get done. Under my rule, it got done. But you don't turn them over, then the pressure, they also call it a pressure room, but it's called a decubitus ulcer. Your skin is your first line of defense. But it breaks down and the bone starts to show, and it just gets an ulcer. It starts to get deep. And in order to fix that wound, you have to measure it. That speech I give to all of the life coaches and stuff. I'll have to do another workshop for life coach. Oh, yes, this will be great. So, but anyways, it's a measurable thing when you're traumatically wounded. But there's a process to the wound itself for its healing. As soon as you're wounded, the process begins. You don't have to do anything. It's already started. God has created it that way for you. It's beautiful. It's a wonderful thing. But we went through all of the stages of wound care, not wound care, but the stages of how a wound heals, those hemostasis, inflammation, proliferation, and maturation. And I explained to you how spiritually that works. So you're going to want to check that out, because it is kind of an analogy. Yeah. You can use that word. But you can kind of parallel with it to healing from trauma, or healing a spiritual wound, or a mental wound, or a physical wound that causes trauma in the brain and the heart, affects the limbic system, which controls your mood, your instincts, especially when it comes to creation of another human. So ladies, this is really big for you, the limbic system, for you to understand that. And then how energy and emotions work with all of that. I explained all of that yesterday. So go to part 1, okay? So you can be up to date. If you're just watching this one, you didn't watch one. But I wanted to talk to you guys about dysautonomia yesterday, and I didn't do it. So while I'm doing my hair, I'm going to talk to you guys about that. And there's literally 15 diseases under dysautonomia, but I add on to myself, which is chronic fatigue syndrome and fibromyalgia. I know that is not considered an autonomic, but it greatly does affect it. And sometimes interchangeably, both of those are misdiagnosed for one of the disorders underneath dysautonomia. So, yeah. How do you spell dysautonomia? Dystomonia. MIA. So, MIA. It's, yeah, there's a lot missing in action there when you when you have this disorder. But we're just going to talk a little bit about it. And in correlation with part one, if you have anything that looks like these symptoms, because of a lot of other things like depression, anxiety, panic disorders, your PTSD, a poor diet can present with the symptoms of dysautonomia. There are hundreds of symptoms, and it's individualized. But we're going to go into that a little bit, just so that you can understand. This falls under an invisible disability. One of the most well known. Oh yeah, added to that. What is it? 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. 19, because I would say congestive heart failure falls under it. And I know dysautonomia is not necessarily heart, but it does affect it because it's autonomic. But you don't go see like an electrocardiologist like you would for vasovagal syncope or something like that. You would go see a neurologist and an electrocardiologist more than likely, depending on which one you fall under. Diabetes. So these things fall under dysautonomia. So let's check this out, okay? I'm gonna get started on my hair. How I have here, guys. Oh yeah, but it affects emotions. One of the biggest triggers. We're going to talk about triggers here because we're going to stay on track, which is emotions. I'm not giving you a speech about dysautonomia or invisible disorders, but invisible disorders usually involve many emotions that are silented. And that's what I minister to a lot. That's what the universe, what the Most High magnetizes towards my way. So that's what I want to talk to you about because of that silencing. Breaking your silence is so prudent, pertinent, persuasively. But anyways, part one, check it out and you'll understand a little more what I'm talking about. But since one of the biggest triggers to dysautonomic symptoms, besides standing up for long periods of time or sitting down for long periods of time, besides any of those, emotions is a trigger. Emotions is a trigger for PTSD. Emotions is a trigger for depression, especially if you have depression and it's chemical in your brain. Not because of something that happened, but because your brain chemistry literally makes you that way. It's a trigger. Not a choice. And you're not defective because you have triggers. People treat triggers. It's pretty disturbing. I read somewhere the other day, like 2 days ago, 3 days ago. It might have been a video on YouTube. I'm a YouTuber. I'm subscribed. But I think it was something that I read though. That there are 1 out of 6 people are narcissists. Excuse me, or have narcissistic tendencies. That's amazing. And I feel like how a lot of people that when you talk about triggers and how people describe them, I think they kind of fall under that 1 out of 6. And the more and more I think about it, I think I am actually agreeing with that. Uh, I really am. Mm, Lord Jesus. At any rate, you're not defective because of triggers. And a lot of times, if your trigger is offensive to someone, you have opened up a wound. And you want to check out part 1 to understand that a little more. Wounds reopen. It doesn't mean that you haven't healed. You got the scar tissue. You got the scar to prove it. It's healed. It's closed up. It's not open anymore. It's closed. It's mended. Proliferation has taken its course. Maturation has progressed. It's been over a year. Over 3 months. All right? 80% in 3 months. Well, at any rate, you got to check out part 1 to understand what I'm talking about there. If it's a trigger, you're not defective. Okay? It's natural. So, but it is a trigger for many things besides what falls under dysautonomia. But I'm talking about dysautonomia and other people and other things, other diseases, disease processes, disorders, syndromes, dysfunctions can learn and use the principles that I'm teaching here, okay? Okay, so emotions. You have to learn not to control them because it is energy and energy is uncontrollable. Yes, people often like to control the uncontrollable. They love it. They cannot help themselves. So you need to learn how to direct it, right? So we're gonna do just a little bit of directing today. But first, I'm gonna get this going. I've got to put this on my hair, and it's got to set for like 45 minutes. As you see, my hair is really see. It's so, I don't know what you want to call it. Dry. I don't know. It needs protein, guys. Yeah, this stuff is unforgiving right now. Yeah. So, what I have here is 16 ounces of whole fat yogurt, 2 tablespoons of Bragg's amino acids, and 2 tablespoons of baking soda. It bubbles up quite nicely. I don't know if you can see the bubbles there. There we go. So I'm going to put this on my hair. I'm going to leave it on for about 40 minutes, 30 to 40 minutes, depending on how long it takes me to clean and chop up some mushrooms and parsley, some onions and garlic for my dinner. So, yeah. Part it again. Stuff really, really makes a huge difference. A lady by the name of Sherry Lola created this. A lot of people call it the maximum hydration method, and then they've added and taken away from what she did. But the credit, 1000% goes to Cherry Lola. You go, girl. So I'm going to take about a spoonful. This is so messy. And she says to rinse your hair, so that's what I'm going to do. Just going to kind of place it on my hair first with the spoon because I don't want to have a lot of it on my hands. It's so gross looking. There we go. And this little bit that fell. I'll put that on my... Oh, it's so cold. So I'm just going to work it in here. There we go. Look at that. It's working already. it's dripping everywhere. I don't want it to get on my microphone. Oh, it's dripping everywhere. It's so messy. I feel like I need to separate this one section again. There we go. One part is done. It is. Maybe a little extra, yeah? Because you said drench it. I always drench it, but I don't like it just dripping all over me. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. But it is messy. So there we go. There's one. And whilst I continue to do this, to put this on, if you neglect your hair, if you have dystonia or any invisible disorder or any disorder or disease process, depression, anxiety, PTSD especially, you're gonna neglect your hair. If you have my hair type, type 2, 3, or 4, or 5, this is gonna work wonders for you. So just like that. Darling, please believe me. So I'm gonna get close here so you can see what it's actually doing. Okay. After I take my little napkin. I'm trying to be careful because I don't want it to drip onto my keyboard. Anything get on there, thank God. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and continue. And whilst I continue, we're going to talk more about dystonia and vasovagal syncope. So I'm going to read to you the different types of dystonia. So there's pure autonomic failure, familial dystonia. That's because you're inherited. Multiple system atrophy, barrel flex failure, autoimmune autonomic ganglionopathy, and vasovagal syncope. We're going to be talking about vasovagal syncope because that is what I have been diagnosed with. POTS. They just go back and forth. I think it's very hard for them to diagnose. And of course, they're doctors. So they can't be wrong. It's hard. They're very hard to diagnose. Apparently, a lot of people disagree with a lot of the diagnoses that they have with it. But anyways, those are the ones. And like I said, I add on to that list, like with congestive heart failure, chronic fatigue syndrome, congestive heart failure, chronic fatigue syndrome. I think I added 2 other ones onto that, but that's how I think of it. I really do, and there's the symptoms are so vast. There's so many. But one of the biggest triggers to this disorder, with all of these symptoms that come with it, I have a mirror here. I'm looking in my mirror. I think I've had real luck with the growth of my hair. Like I said, I'm going to be screen recording this on this side. I'll put it on this side. Bald-headed to this. But I think I've had so much fortune and blessed with it because of how gentle I've been with my hair. It might have gotten neglected. But when I go to try to make up for it, I'm very gentle with my hair. So think about that. When you're healing, you want to be gentle with yourself, especially if you have anything that falls under dysautonomia, and emotions are such a trigger. And you don't want to try to control them because they're going to start controlling you. See, what you have to do is direct your emotions. If it's energy, it's uncontrollable. So you gotta direct it. That's the only thing you can do. There's not much else you can do, peeps. Sorry. So, hi. You're on your break. Big hug. How you doing, Brother Jay? Have a good day at work. I'm talking about energy, frequencies, vibrations, and the one everybody missed, tones. You make me have a high tone. Yeah, energy, frequencies, and vibrations, and tones, and healing, and the wounds that trauma creates. That's what I'm talking about. So, yeah, doing my hair as well, because I said I was going to do it the other day and didn't, and I'm paying for it. So I have something going on Friday, and my hair needs to be done. Triggers for the dysautonomia. You really, really want to understand what an emotion is to be able to handle that. And because once you have a trigger, let's see, let me go back to my notes real quick. And depending on the type of dysautonomia that you have, the physiological, biological, and psychological response to the trigger can last hours, days, weeks, months. My friends, it could literally last years. It could last years before it lets up. That's dysautonomia. That is autonomic dysfunction. So it just, the limbic system and your autonomic nervous system. Your limbic system works with everything. Right? Pituitary, the pineal gland, like we talked about yesterday. But, if you don't get this principle, your next life, maybe? You know what I mean? Like, if you want to get it, you want to... It's the long run. And for us, the long run doesn't exist in this flesh. You're going to shut it and move on, pass on, die. It's going to happen. Maya Angelou said a long time ago, I'm not quoting her perfectly, I had a conversation with God, and I decided that to agree with him that I was going to die. And once she agreed, life was better. She said it like that. It's so funny. You have to check it out. It's an interview. I'll have to try to find it, and then I'll post it or something, but it's in my repertoire somewhere. But, oh my gosh. So, you got to learn how to embrace the fact that you can't control energy. And energy and controlling don't have anything to do with each other. It's directing. It's your will that you have to use. So if you have something that has emotional triggers like dysautonomia, vasovagal syncope, POTS, any of those that I've mentioned, and the other ones like chronic fatigue syndrome, I was about to call it a disorder, or congestive heart failure, or fibromyalgia. Emotions are triggers. Right? If you don't have any disease process at all, but you have a stressful job, guess what triggers the emotions your workplace emotions. So this really does apply to everybody. So check out part one. And there's no gauge on the severity of how it looks because we're all different. So it's going to look different for everyone. So I'm going to go ahead and put this on the end of my hair. I think I've said this before. All through my head, I have different hair types. So I've got type 3B, 3C, 4A, 4B, and 4C all throughout my head. So each area of my hair, I literally have to treat differently. So another thing about healing is that you have to kind of section it off, right? And like if you have like dysautonomia, you with healing, with everything spiritual, all of the schools of thoughts that they brought forth, the Sumerians, they believe that categorizing is really where growth happened. Oh, yeah. I think they were onto something. But you know, you're gonna have to kind of separate the sections. What's more severe from the other, and you got to learn how to face it head on. Because when you put it off, procrastinate, or you're having fear looks like procrastination. Sometimes it's not procrastination. You'll have somebody working on stopping procrastinating when you should be having somebody working on fear. You life coaches and counselors need to pay attention to that. I'm a bishop, so if I see something, that's what I do. I say something. So that I've been seeing a lot of that happening. You need to be paying attention to it. But yeah, so you know, if you're having trouble with that, consider the fact that you're working on the wrong section. This is like my hair. I literally have to take each section and treat it differently because, oh my gosh. Let me get a side shot here because I'm trying to do before and afters too. um, so woo, we got some length. So yeah, each section was treated different. Like if you're good at chopping the vegetables. Okay, you're good at cleaning the rice. Nobody's water is clearer than yours once you've rinsed your rice off. But when it comes time to cooking, you know you have to use a rice cooker because you don't know what you're doing. Right? But with that meat, you can clean it off like nobody else. And when you put it on that frying pan and it gets on that plate, you're talking perfection. Right? So you neglect the one that you're good at, or most people don't do that. That's what you would think. What most people are going to do is do more of the one that they're good at because it makes them feel good. And the one that they're bad at, they're going to avoid. Just like when you have PTSD, it's called avoidance. You avoid the things that's going to make you have a trigger because you're trying to control it. But you can't do that because we're talking about the limbic system here. We're talking about autonomic dysfunction. We're talking about emotions and instinct. So we're talking about energy. We're talking about the tone that you're giving it, the energy you're feeding. Your emotions are getting fed. We're talking about the frequency that is being created. You get all these frequencies. And then we're talking about the vibration that the tone creates. You can't control that. You have to direct it. And once you learn how to direct it, that energy, yes, all of them. Yes, Brother Jay. This is going to go on YouTube. Jeremiah Ryan. If you guys, any of my students, you guys want to go ahead and follow Jeremiah, go ahead. Subscribe to his channel. But seriously, it's the direction. Because if you want energy in motion, stay stuck there for a second. Because you want to make something happen, you have to direct the energy. You have to direct the flow. So in order for you to be able to direct it, you can't attack it. You have to be gentle. Like with my hair, right? You have to be gentle. You can't attack it. You have to do it expeditiously, because you can't have one side have the treatment on longer than the other one and expect the same result on each section. So I gotta keep moving. But you can't attack it. You have to direct it. So how do you do that? You have to understand how to use your will. You gotta learn how to use your will. So I'm gonna finish doing this, and then I'm gonna talk more about how to use that candle. So let me finish doing my hair. And I'll probably keep talking, but I'm gonna show you another exercise with the candle. And I'm going to incorporate the breathing exercise that I've been doing for 2 years with you guys. So this is a big treat. This is a freebie. This is a freebie. People pay for this. So I'm giving you 100% of it. But it's going to be broken up a little bit at a time. You don't sit there and... I saw somebody make a post, well, if you know, after I announced that I had a PhD, like, I've had it for a long time, I just didn't tell you. But somebody had a post saying something about, if you know this knowledge, why aren't you sharing it? You're not ready. It's like we're babies. That's why I refer to us as children of the Most High. I'm not going to give you all that so that you can regurgitate it and throw it all up. If you feed a baby, force feed a baby, everything in that jar all at once, or down the bottle down its throat, it's not going to be able to burp. It's going to vomit all over the place. And digestion happens fast with babies. Within 30 minutes, they're taking a shit in that pamper. It smells to high hell. That little thing can make a powerful punch. You can too. Trust me, it's the same. It's not an analogy. It's a synonym. It's similar. It's the same thing. It's just different components. So you section it off. And when you are so careful to pay attention to each little part, they tell you not to do it. Stop overanalyzing. Sometimes it looks like you're overanalyzing, but that's because they're used to you underanalyzing, and you're used to you underanalyzing, and your paradigm has taken over on both ends. So you're hanging around the same people. They're saying the same things over and over again, and you're following through with it. Following suit. It's the Joker, honey. He's a Joker. Don't fall for it. That is not how that works. But I'll be giving you a little more with the breathing technique and that candle. But as a baby, you can't force feed. You have to give a little bit at a time. You feed a baby a little bit at a time. All right, side one is done. I'm just gonna get it out my way. It's so nasty feeling. But I know this works. Okay. Section this off like I did that one. Eesh, it's so messy. Um, if you have any of the invisible disorders, then you really want to get those emotions in check. But something spiritual about it. We've been talking all on a very physical level. And I believe in starting with where you are and then taking you where you need to go. Not starting where you need to go and then backing up. See, this is how far you are from it. we're just we're gonna start where you are. That's physical. Once I start seeing signs of most of you guys thinking more spiritually, then we'll move forward. But more spiritually on this level of everything that I've talked to you guys about, what I've taught you so far. On a more spiritual level, your emotions, they're like a fine-tuned machine. It's like a magic wand, really. All this time you've been thinking you have to avoid them or control them or stop them or I don't know. You need to control your spirit. It's what you need to control. Can you? Can you control your spirit? You need to direct them. Emotions are like a magic wand. If you use enough energy and you put it into the right motion, there's no telling what it could do. Like heal you. Mentally, physically. Spirit versus vibes. Yes. Exactly. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. Yes. And the spirit has vibrations. The spirit vibrates. The spirit has a tone. That is its communication. The spirit is energetic through the umbilical cord thing and is all that slimy stuff. That is very close to the beginning of the spiritual realm. And the uterus really does, I don't want to use the word mimic, but for lack of a better word right now, mimic it. The earth mimics that. It shows it to you. But that womb of healing really exists inside of that spiritual realm, inside of that plasmic, mucousy, membraning part that exists on the outside and on the inside. It encases your body and it encases your soul. It's your bridge between your soul and your physical body. And a communication happens there between your soul to your body and your body to your soul. And there's a recording of everything you think, say, do in that spiritual realm. So the soul won't be able to lie. And when it comes time for your judgment time. But that's what I believe. And I have basis for it, but I'm not going to go into that because we're talking about energy, frequency, vibrations, and dystonomia. So I got to kind of keep it, where I'm at. But, there's disagreements. That's just the theology thing. There's no proof. Nobody has proof. Nobody can say for a fact, this is how it is. These are good discussions, but you don't know. I think one of the principles to a lot of those fraternity orders and stuff is to come to the realization that I don't know anything. And I think that's such a special thing. I definitely incorporate that inside my ministry members. You need to come to the realization that you don't know anything. You can't be taught if you already know. So I had to do it. We all have to do it in life. We don't push or pressure it. It happens naturally, but we do look for the signs and symptoms. I'm just going to put this. All right. So you want to take your time with your healing process, learning how to direct those emotions, because direction requires focus. And focus, the art of focusing requires time. It's not something that you're going to do right away. It's something you have to work on. That's why it's such a big deal. It used to be for somebody to get older. We used to revere our elders. In the black culture, I know all other cultures, you guys put out how you are with your elders and stuff, but in our culture, especially before slavery, revering your ancestors and your elders were just naturally a part of life. Now you got to relearn how to do it. Good God. But, time is the only thing that's going to really teach it to you. You can listen to somebody else and be one of those good, attentive persons and really grasp and get it. You can. And you can prevent yourself from making mistakes because of somebody else's. Yeah, God, there's a lot of people out there talking to that shit. You don't have to. Look, I did this and I never had this happen. Oh, goodness, you poor thing. You can't be afraid to live a little and, as people call it, fuck up. I'm sorry. I don't call them mistakes. Some things are mistakes, though. What a shit show. But, you got to learn how to direct the energy, and you got to teach yourself how to think about it for you. Because sometimes thought weighs heavy on attitude. Your attitude can mess up some stuff when it comes to healing and emotional triggers. So you want to make sure that your attitude is right once you start learning what I'm going to be teaching you in a minute. I'm almost done here. You want to make sure your attitude is good. If it's not, just come back. The video will be here. And like I said, it's going on my YouTube channel. But you want to have the right attitude going in this when learning how to use your will. Because it's energy. It's not a person. So energy is not going to stick around to your attitude. Unless you've directed it. And a bad attitude is such a sloppy direction. So sloppy. And then people wonder, oh, it's taking me this long to get this done. It's your attitude. Just give it an upgrade, everything will be alright. But sometimes you can't help it, though. I don't want to sit here, talking about, oh, you have bad attitude. You have a bad attitude sometimes because you're going through a growth spurt. That's what growth spurts do. That's what happens when you're going through a growth spurt. You get moody, you get personality changes, you know. Yeah. If you're a woman, people think you're PMSing. But you're not. You're just having a growth spurt. Just like this. But yeah. Attitude is everything. Another thing that I want to make clear is to learn how to focus. Dear God, you don't need a quiet place. What's the point? How are you going to know it's working if you're doing it in a quiet place? If you really want to know if you can focus, do what you do in a quiet place in a louder place. Don't turn the TV off. Don't turn the light off. Make it all dark. Unless, it empowers you. It's not necessary. You don't need to do all that. Just light the candle and start to focus. Turn everything off. If you don't know how to, work on one sound at a time. Let's see. There's a lot of distractions in this world. Symbols, triggers, naked women all the time, men showing off their money. Oh, goodness. Half-truths being told to make money and keep you stupid. Oh, what do they call it? Crouching tiger, hidden dragon. All of that. All right. It's really not supposed to be up, but I just put that up so that I could get it on my hair. Ugh, it's so nasty feeling. All right. So obviously I will not be using this t-shirt after I wash it out. I guess I'll make dinner on Dinner Time to Heal. If anybody's seeing this and focus on focusing itself, yes! That is it, honey child, please. Focus on focusing itself. That's what Brother Jay said. Yes, focus on focusing itself. Focus on the Most High. So I'll just put my hair up like this so that I could do this candle with you. Okay. I'm just going to rinse my hands off real quick, guys. Ugh, it's all on my pants. It got on my pants. Gross. It got on my phone. Oh no. It got on my phone. It's like, no, I'm just like not tripping. Like, I'm the one who makes fun of the person who breaks a nail. Honey, you don't have to ask me, is the wind too much? You want me to roll the window up? Is your hair messing up? I don't care. Let the wind mess my hair up. I'm going to go wash my hands. I'll be right back. Ugh, it's splashing. All right. Woo. So, oh. Let me get a lighter. I'll be right back. All right. Are you saying hi to everybody, sugar? Say hi to everybody. Come here. Come here. Say hi, everybody. You say hi. Look. Hi. Okay. All right, let me wipe I don't want you to lick this stuff, sugar. It's not for you. Oh my goodness, listen to you. You sound like a little piglet. Are you my little piglet? Okay, where did I put my lighter? Oh, where did Mommy put the lighter? There it is. So this is the candle from yesterday. So, to focus and the breath work. My goodness. Once you realize that you're out of focus, you're gonna, oh no, I gotta get back on there real quick. And you want to train yourself to direct that energy differently. And it takes practice. So you recognize it. You have the boost, you can feel that spurt, that spark, and it's telling you, it's alerting you, your focus is off. You want to direct that energy. You don't want it to let it take off. So the way that you do that is by breathing, and it's going to make all the difference what you do, because a lot of times the next thing that happens is guilt and shame, and those things are fine in some cases, but they tend to linger. So, and they carry weight. The thoughts carry weight. They carry lots of thoughts and emotions, energy that's in motion. And a lot of times it gets directed, the vibration of shame and guilt, from making a mistake or getting off your focus and then catching yourself. It's an immediate direction. So you're going to push it out. And the people that's inside of your circle are attached to your emotions. So whether they're near you or not, are going to catch that vibe. And either they're going to take hold to it or dismiss it. Most times people take hold to it because it's familiar. And once they come around you, subconsciously, they realize where it comes from. Subconsciously, they're going to treat you different. Because that's how vibes work. That's how energy works. That's how tones and frequencies work. So once you realize you're off your focus, you got to teach yourself to tell yourself something differently than mistake. Because mistake brings about all these other belief systems and that don't serve people well. It hasn't been serving anyone good. Look where we're headed. Look at everything. It's not working. So the results are showing. Time for a different method that gives different results. Not different method, same results. Different method, different results. Because the results that we have suck. So you want to change it by working on focusing on focusing. So what you need to do to be able to do that is your attitude. Once you realize you're off your focus, just take a breath. And it might seem like you're frustrated. Somebody might catch that because you're releasing it when you take a breath. It's okay. That's natural. But we take offensive to it. We take it personal when somebody else does it. We got to stop doing that. It's not personal. It doesn't have anything to do with you. And if you perceive it that way, there's things you need to work on. But those people are just reminding you of it. They don't have anything to do with it. That's called maturity. Not being an adult, it's just being mature. Children get that. If somehow we lose it, adultism walks in. But we have to learn how to direct it by controlling our attitude. And you can control your attitude. That's what you have control over. The emotions that it brings, you have to direct. You can't control it. So, breath. You have a center here. You can refer it to as chakras, you can refer it to the vertebrae, the kundalini, whatever it is you want to call it. We're interfaith here. Just understand it's the center. And you have energy points that branch out just like your central nervous system, parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous system, autonomic nervous systems. Okay? And it branches out just like your circulation in your body. Your peripheral and then your central, right? And it feeds your entire being into your aura, into that plasmic spirit that encases, the spirit encases the flesh and the soul. Everybody's all in discrepancy. No, it does this. No, it does. Why is it that people always have to point out one thing? Like, well, what's wrong with her? She's crying. She's been crying all day. She's got depression. No, 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 no. It's not that she's got depression. It's because she had trauma. No, no, no. Maybe it's all of them. There's no one pinpoint. So, what you need to understand is it's going to be a whole conglomerate. Once you directed that one thought, I got off focus. That attitude with that breath is everything. It's everything. It's like that breath is, I'm going to pay attention because I'm about to teach you how to fish for your lifetime. That breath is whoosh, that hook. It's the fly. You ever gone fly fishing? Have you ever seen someone go fly fishing? You see the line leave the pole and whoosh, wrap around like that, you know? That's what the breath does. It's the same thing. You're breathing it out, and whatever it hooks onto is going to catch, and you're going to reel it in. And guess what? You got to use it. You got to do something with it, or you're going to end up giving it to somebody else. So you push it out. That attitude after that is really going to make the difference what you're going to reel in. Because you've created this hole. You've released it. You've let it go. And there's space where it used to be. When you reel it back in, that line, whatever's on the end of that line is going in there. It's going to fill up that space. It's going to proliferate. Proliferation is happening. You know, the process of the wounds that I talked about yesterday. So you want to be careful by using the breath. You've already breathed out. You already did it. It's natural. It happens with thought. But it's a push that you're doing. You're pushing energy out. Energy that's going to boomerang and magnetize. Other things are going to attach to it, and then you're going to reel it in like you're going fishing on the fly. Because it's second nature. God built it in you to get rid of it. So you did. But it's coming back. So when it comes back, you got to be ready. So that focus with the breath is huge, especially when it comes to healing trauma, the wounds that trauma could bring, or bad life decisions that causes trauma or that are a result from it. I fucked up again. You know? Well, what are you going to do after that? You're going to redirect your focus. So Something has called your attention. Okay, fine. That's going to happen all day. And when you're asleep, your brain's just better at fixing it because it doesn't have you in the way. When you're asleep. You better believe it. So you have to redirect that focus. So you use your breath. Don't forget military service. Yes. And I know all about that in a different perspective, though, because it was my father that served. I did serve for AmeriCorps, but it's not necessarily a military. Associative trauma. Yes. This is huge. This is really big for associative trauma. Like huge. Oh, breath. This is huge. So you're going to redirect. So, heart. Okay? Heart and that breath of life and the limbic system and the healings of wounds. You want to remember that breath of life that was breathed into the body that makes it come alive. It's alive. All right. And that beat, that heartbeat just brings you back to the life that God gave you. You remember it with every beat that you feel. That's your life force. That's your energy. If it stops, you're done. That's it. You're going to move on. You aren't going to stay in this if it doesn't do that. You're getting kicked out and it's going to return back to the earth. Well, that's another thing. There's different belief systems of what happens to the flesh, but we're going to stick with this one. The soul doesn't need this. So recognizing that is huge for healing. And you can see differences in your life start happening right away when you start to recognize it. You could fake it until you make it, but at some point, it's going to turn into real. And you're going to have that aha moment. Put your hand on your chest, right over your heart, which is actually on here, but you can feel it up here. And you can feel the little beat on your heart. See, you're already not thinking about whatever it is that was messing with you. You can hear the air coming in and out of your body, your torso. Can you feel your skin tingling with the oxygen flowing through your body and in the blood? You can feel your rib cage expanding, contracting. Your chest and your stomach coming up and down. This is all redirecting. Don't just throw your hand up. Oh, I feel it. You want to sit in it. You want to feel it. You want to feel it. Don't deny yourself. Don't have avoidance. Feel it. This will also help you train you to know that it's okay to feel your feelings instead of dissing them, going against. That's what dis means. It's Latin for go against. Like dyslexia. Somebody has dyslexia. Lexia means in Latin, the law. You're dissing the law. You're going against the law. Hey, maybe a lot of older languages, dead languages, read from right to left, not left to right. So who's going against the law? You're okay to go against, but not in this case. Don't diss it. Okay? Don't diss it. Feel it. Feel that. Feel your heart. Understand. Acknowledge the breath. Acknowledge the life force in the cavity of your body, encased inside of this. The heart is encased in this hard shell. You see those movies about the dragon. And the only way to slay it is that soft spot, right? They got to get underneath that armor. You got to get underneath that armor. You got to slay that dragon. So you got to feel it. It's the only way. So you take that breath, and the breath is moving the blood around because the lungs and the heart work together. So the breath, your lungs put oxygen into your heart, and then it circulates up and then gets dispersed out through your aortic arteries, your ascending and descending aortic arteries, your aortic valve. It disperses the oxygenated blood. So the lungs and the heart work together. So when you're breathing, this is happening. But it's not just molecular, it's spiritual. So remember, the spirit is the bridge connecting the physical to the soul. So it is happening on a spiritual level. Now, if you have blockage, you're going to recognize that after this exercise. When you're breathing and you have blockage, if you have something wrong with your lungs or something with your heart, you're going to probably cough. That's a physical sign, but it's showing up physically. It's a spiritual symptom. It's a spiritual symptom of blockage. So directing that energy is going to unblock it. It's like your spirit has plaque all throughout its arteries and its lungs and heart, and you need to get it out. So you need to be able to feel and direct those emotions, that energy. You need to put it in the right motion. Energy can stay stagnant, but let me tell you, it's rare. So there's okay, yeah. So what you do when that happens, you get a physical symptoms of showing a blockage, then you just take another breath. But you want to slow the breath down because you're forcing it out too fast. You might feel little tickles in your lungs. It might start back up again. But it's okay. You don't need to do it again. So the next time that you do it, you're not doing it for that reason. You're doing it to raise the energy. So you've got some of the blockage out. So now you want to get that energy raised up. So what's going to happen is when you take that breath, you think it's just starting here? No. It starts at that root, the root chakra. And it's going to work its way up through all of the chakras, right? Especially here. That's another reason why you hear a lot of people coughing, or you take that breath and you might get a lot of saliva built up. That's very ethereal, by the way. It's saliva. You learn that in like things like Tai Chi. And it goes past the third eye and the crown chakra, and then it raises up into that space. And that's where you need to take that energy. And that's what the next two breaths are going to do. So you've got it here. Hold it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Breathe again, and it raises it past the third eye and past the crown chakra into that space. That's what the next breath does. And you hold it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Release. 2, 3, 4. So we're going to do it. And you're able to get that energy out into the aura, into that cleaning, to help clean and unblock, so that you can have a better chance at directing your energy properly when you do this next part of the exercise. So you're going to, okay, so hand. The hand that you're looking for is at the end of your own arm. Don't have an arm, don't have a hand. Have you heard of phantom pain? Your arm and hand are still there. We're not talking about a physical world. We're talking about the spiritual realm. Get out of the physical. And yes, I deal with people who don't have limbs. This is called living with disability healing. So the hand that you're looking for is still at the end of your own arm, Jeffrey. Because I know you're going to watch this. So you put your hand over your heart. Yes, you can close your eyes and picture your arm and your hand over your heart. You don't need to put your hand over your heart. People who don't have arms and hands, they can tell you, I can still feel my heart beating. Stevie Wonder can tell you, I can still see you. It's just differently. So you put your hands over your heart. You're feeling it. We're going to take that breath through your nose. Hold it for 4 counts. Breathe up again. Hold it for 4 counts. Release for 4 counts. Feel the heart. On the count of 3, we're going to take the breath. 1, 2, 3. Breathe in again. Release. Hold on to that feeling. There's a calm. There's a peace. You're in a space when that happens. And you got to learn how to hold on to it for as long as you can. So when you're holding on to that space, take your lighter. I am looking at this light again. Yes, there's a scientific explanation for the light. But isn't that what science is? Spirituality. Don't let anybody discredit stuff like that. If you see something like that and you feel, and then that's what I'm talking about, the narcissist stuff. There is an explanation, but there's a spiritual explanation as well. Hello, God bless you. I was talking about energy frequencies and vibrations, and the one that everybody has missed. Well, there's more, but a very important addition to energy frequencies and vibrations is tones and the use of your will in healing traumatic wounds that are spiritual, physical, or emotional, and how to direct your will, and using a candle to help focus with the direction of will and energy in motion, which is your emotions. So what you want to do is really concentrate on that light. It's a beautiful light. Look at the shape. Look at the dimension of it. And doesn't it look like there's an encasing around the light? And the different shades of thickness of the light. Some of it's see-through and some of it you can't see through. Pick a spot. Don't focus on the whole of it. Focus on the one part of it. Okay? So pick a spot to focus on when you're doing this. You will notice your breath changing the dance. Pay attention to that because it is actually a symptom. So when you're paying attention to how your breath is affecting that candlelight, you'll be able to direct your breath. And when you direct your breath, you'll be able to feel your heartbeat even changing. I challenge you to do this. Put a blood pressure cup on your arm before, while, and after you're doing this, and the difference is crazy. What it does to your blood pressure, your heart is redirected, the energy from your limbic system, your emotions, your instincts are clearer, sharper. And once you lose focus, you start over. Get a timer and time yourself. Well, come here. Come here, precious. Come here, Papa. Come here, Papa. Come here. There really is no rules to it. Because just like healing looks different for everyone, so does the use of your will. So, you want to practice. And like I said yesterday, try it for 21 days. Okay, 21 days. And once the 21 days is over, get your notepad out and journal. Don't journal while you're doing it. You're focusing on what it is you're thinking about and everything. Don't do that. Wait till the 21 days is done. No, the things that you don't remember from it, it's not for you to remember now. Trust the Most High. He will bring it up later. And yeah. Then do it again. After you're finished writing, do it again. Okay? Do it again. For another 21 days. And it just gets stronger and stronger. You will start to notice little things in your life changing. And when I tell you little things, they're actually not very little. They're pretty significant. So, if you do this, you're starting on a real journey of understanding how to use your will and how to heal yourself. Jesus basically told you, physician, heal yourself. Heal thyself. You have the power to heal yourself. You have the power. You didn't lose it. Especially after rape. I want to get my power back. I watch and listen to you here to calm my emotions. Yes, God bless you. Oh, yes, surrender. Yes, surrender to the Most High. Surrender your problems. The battle is not yours. It's the Lord's. Even through trauma. That God can really heal you, and take the ugly and make it beautiful. He is giving you the tools to do it. Surrender, yes. Yes. And that's what this exercise helps you learn how to do as well. Surrender. This is a letting go. We can hold on to what happened, or we can let it go. And that has its own process. Just like the stages of a wound, the healing stages of a wound. Keep your focus on the Most High. God bless you all. Remember to help yourself so that you can help others help themselves. If you help yourself, you're in the position to do that. If those people are able to help themselves, they're also in the position to help someone else. Right? My memory is just absolutely terrible. I really hate it, guys. I really hate it. So, 2 Corinthians 1:3-4. 3. Praise be to God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, and Father of compassion and God of all comfort, who comforts us in all our troubles, so that we can comfort those in any trouble with the comfort we ourselves receive from God. Once you help others to help themselves, they can help others help themselves. And it keeps going and going. And guess what? We all raise to a higher degree of existence. And our trademark saying, this is an international trademark. Praise God! Our trademark saying, it is not just your spirituality that can define your journey. It's your journey that can define your spirituality. God bless you. Thank you for joining me.